You ever get that sinking feeling in your chest, like something's broken, but no one else can hear the sound? That's been my marriage lately. Not because of my wife. Because of my mother. And I'm starting to wonder if I'll lose them both. I'm not even sure where to begin. Maybe with a truth that still stings when I say it out loud, my mother has never liked a single woman I've dated. Not one. Not in high school, not in college, not the woman I almost proposed to at 25, and definitely not my wife, Emily. When I told my mom I was engaged, she stared at me and said, "She's not like us." Like us? What does that even mean? We're from Michigan. We eat pierogi at Christmas and argue about lawn maintenance. I didn't know that was a sacred bloodline, but that's just how she is. My mother has this way of smiling when she's angry. A tiny twitch at the corner of her lips, like a warning sign you don't notice until it's too late. And Emily? She noticed it on day one. I'll never forget that dinner. We'd been dating 6 months and I brought her over for Sunday roast. My mom served everyone but skipped Emily. "Oh, did you want potatoes?" she asked after the plates were full. "I didn't think you ate carbs." Emily just laughed it off. But I saw the hurt in her eyes. It was subtle, but it was there. That night, she asked me, "Does she always treat your girlfriends like that?" I told her no. I lied. Because I didn't want to scare her off. But she already knew. She saw the way my mom tilted her head and asked what her father did for a living. The way she complimented her dress, then added, "They make that in other colors, right?" After dinner, I pulled my mom aside. I told her to be nice. Her response? "I'm protecting you." I was 28. A grown man. And she was still acting like I was 15 and about to run off with a girl from the wrong side of town. Fast forward 3 years. Emily and I are married. We have a condo, a dog, and a fridge full of kale neither of us eats. But lately, there's a weight between us. A tension I can't explain. Last week, Emily came home early from work, sat me down, and said, "Your mother called me again." My stomach dropped. "What now?" I asked. She took out her phone, scrolled, and handed it to me. I read the messages. My mother had sent her a Bible verse about disobedient women, a link to a fertility clinic. And then, the worst part, "You'll never be good enough for my son." I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. "How long has this been happening?" I asked. Emily said, "Since before we got married." I looked at her, really looked at her, and I realized I'd failed her. I'd let my mother chip away at her, one insult at a time. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. Emily's eyes filled with tears. "Because I thought you'd take her side." I didn't sleep that night. I lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking about every argument we'd had in the last year. Every cold shoulder. Every forced smile. And I kept wondering, what if she's right? What if I've been siding with my mother without even realizing it? The next morning, I told Emily I was going to talk to my mom. She said nothing, just nodded. But I saw it in her face, she didn't believe me. And honestly, I wasn't sure I believed myself. I drove to my parents' house, walked inside without knocking, and found my mother in the kitchen peeling carrots like nothing was wrong. I told her we needed to talk. She didn't even look up. "If it's about Emily," she said, "I'm not apologizing." I said, "Then this conversation's going to end badly." And then she turned to me and said something I'll never forget, something that changed everything. "She's keeping something from you, Ryan. You think you know your wife, but you don't." My blood ran cold. I stared at her. "What the hell are you talking about?" She smiled that same tight smile and said, "Ask her where she was the night before your wedding." Ask her where she was the night before your wedding. That sentence haunted me the whole way home. I didn't even answer my mom. I just turned, walked out, and drove with my hands clenched so tight on the steering wheel they left marks. The night before our wedding. Emily had said she was staying with her sister, Anna. They were going to do facials, drink wine, unwind before the big day. I remember she sent me a selfie. Green face mask, wine glass, messy bun. Cute. Normal. But now all I could think about was that photo. Was it real? Was it even taken that night? Was Anna even there? The moment I walked in, Emily knew something was off. "What did she say?" she asked, cautious. I didn't answer right away. I sat down, stared at my shoes, then looked up and said, "Where were you the night before our wedding?" Her face, God, her face. That half second of stillness. Frozen. Like someone hit pause. Then her mouth opened and closed just once. "I was with Anna," she said, too fast. Too perfect. "Why?" I didn't blink. "Because my mom said you weren't." Emily crossed her arms. "Your mom would say anything to poison you against me. You know that." "Then just call Anna," I said. "Put her on speaker." Emily hesitated. That's when I knew. She didn't want to. Or couldn't. "Ryan, don't do this." "Why not?" I stood up, heart racing. "It's a simple request. Call your sister and confirm your alibi." That's all. This isn't a trial, she snapped. I'm your wife. Then act like it. I shouted. She flinched. The room went dead silent. She turned away, walked to the window, and after a long pause, said the one thing I didn't expect. Okay. You're right. I wasn't with Anna. Every word after that felt like glass in my ears. I panicked the night before the wedding. I had doubts. I felt overwhelmed. So I drove to the lake house. Alone. Yes, she said too quickly. And I just needed to be by myself. Then why didn't you just say that before? I asked. Why lie? She turned to me, her voice trembling. Because I knew your mother would use it. I didn't tell anyone. Not even Anna. I didn't want it twisted into something it wasn't. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But something didn't feel right. If you were alone, I said, how did my mother know you weren't with Anna? Emily froze. I don't know. Exactly, I said, walking past her. So either she's lying or you are. I locked myself in the guest room that night. Didn't sleep. My brain wouldn't stop spinning. The next morning, I drove to Anna's house. I didn't warn her. I wanted honesty, not rehearsed lines. She looked surprised to see me but let me in. Did Emily stay with you the night before the wedding? I asked straight up. Anna blinked. Of course. We did face masks, drank a whole bottle of wine, watched Bridesmaids. It was a total cliché. I stared at her, my stomach twisting. Don't lie to me, Anna. Her eyes darted. She told you she wasn't here? She said she went to the lake house. Anna sighed. Damn it, Emily. She sat down and ran her hands through her hair. Okay. She did go to the lake house. But she wasn't alone. My heart stopped. Who was she with? Anna hesitated, looked at me with pity, and then said the name I never wanted to hear. Evan. Evan. My best man. My best friend since college. The guy who gave the toast at our wedding and cried harder than anyone else in the room. I laughed not because it was funny but because I thought if I didn't I'd scream. Are you telling me she spent the night before our wedding with Evan? She said nothing happened, Anna whispered. She said they just talked. She was freaking out. She needed someone to talk to and she didn't want to scare you. That's all. She chose Evan. My voice cracked. Not me. Not her sister. She chose him. Anna said nothing. Didn't need to. I got back in my car and sat there in silence. For a long time. My phone buzzed, Emily calling. I didn't answer. I was too busy replaying my wedding day in my head. Evan's speech. Emily's smile. The way she held my hand. And now I had to ask myself a question I never thought I'd ask. What else happened at that lake house? The lake house was never meant to be a secret. Emily and I bought it together a year after we got engaged, a fixer-upper with a leaky roof, broken windows, and way too many squirrels in the attic. But we loved it. Or at least I thought we did. I hadn't been there in months. We'd barely used it since the wedding, always saying next summer like time was on our side. Now I couldn't get there fast enough. I told no one I was going. Not Emily. Not Anna. Not even Evan. Especially not Evan. My hands shook the whole drive up. I kept picturing them there together, on the porch swing, on the dock, laughing in that way people do when they share secrets they shouldn't. When I pulled up to the house, it felt colder than I remembered. Not weather-wise, just colder. Like the walls knew what happened and didn't want me there. I unlocked the door. Dust everywhere. Cobwebs in the corners. But otherwise untouched. Still, I checked the bedroom. The couch. The kitchen. No signs of anything. And that made it worse. If they'd left some clue, like a wine glass, a sweater, a pair of shoes, I could get angry. I could confront. Instead, there was nothing. Just empty air and the sound of my own pulse in my ears. I almost left. But then I remembered something. Emily always insisted we keep a guest book. One of those old-school ones with a fake leather cover and gold-rimmed pages. For memories, she said. I opened the drawer in the hallway. There it was. I flipped to the back and skimmed through old entries. My birthday. Our first snowstorm here. The weekend her parents came to visit. And then I saw it April 17th. The night before our wedding. One entry. It's always been you. Even when it shouldn't be. E. That's all it said. No full name. No context. Just an initial. But it was in Evan's handwriting. I know because he wrote in all caps. A habit from architecture school. He said it made things easier to read. I stared at that page for so long my eyes blurred. My heart was pounding, but it felt far away. Like it was happening to someone else. I took a picture of the entry. Put the book back. And drove straight to Evan's apartment. He lived downtown in a loft with exposed brick and a record player he never used. I buzzed the door and waited. No answer. I buzzed again. A woman answered from the intercom. Hello? Hi. I'm looking for Evan. He's not here, she said. You must be Ryan. My skin prickled. How do you know who I am? He talks about you all the time, she said. I'm his girlfriend. I felt my jaw tighten. When's the last time you saw him? This morning, she said. He left in a hurry. Said something came up with you. He looked bad. Real bad. Did he say where he was going? She hesitated. He said if anyone came looking for him, especially you, to tell you this. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I hung up. My vision blurred again, but not from tears. From rage. I got back in the car and drove without thinking. Not home. Not back to the lake. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't face Emily yet. Not until I knew everything. I parked in a lot outside a grocery store and sat there watching people go about their lives. Normal people. People not living through some twisted romantic ambush. That's when I got the call. Unknown number. I picked up. Ryan, the voice said. Evan. Where the hell are you? I asked. We need to talk, he said. In person. You think. I snapped. You lied to me. I know. I know I did. But there's something you don't know. Something Emily didn't tell you. Something I've been carrying for 3 years. My stomach dropped. What is it? Evan's voice cracked. Ryan, I don't think your marriage was ever what you thought it was. Emily and we weren't just together that night. It didn't end there. My body went numb. I sat there gripping the phone like it was the only thing keeping me from falling through the floor. What do you mean it didn't end? I asked, voice low, shaky. How long? A pause. 8 months, Evan whispered. It started the night before the wedding and it ended. I don't know, maybe 2 months after Emily found out she was pregnant. I didn't even know what to say. I just sat there with my mouth open, listening to my own heartbeat pulse in my ears. Pregnant. My mind flashed back how we had cried happy tears when she told me, how she said she wanted to wait a few weeks to be sure, how she had looked me dead in the eyes and said, you're going to be a dad. I believed her. God, I believed everything. Did you know it was yours? I asked. No, he said. She swore it wasn't. But she never got tested. Said it didn't matter. Said she was sure it was yours because she loved you more. I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip something out of my chest. You were my best man, I said, voice breaking. You gave a toast about loyalty and love. You sat next to me while I promised to love her forever. Evan was crying now. Or trying not to. I didn't mean for it to happen. We were drinking, she was scared, we talked about everything, and it just happened. It didn't just happen for 8 damn months, I snapped. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. That's a routine. That's sleeping beside someone and waking up the next morning pretending nothing's broken. Evan was silent. And I realized he didn't call to defend himself. He called to confess. To dump the weight. To unchain himself and let me carry it instead. I need to know something, I said, wiping my face. Why now? Why tell me this now? He hesitated. Because I think she's doing it again. That's when my blood ran cold. What? I think she's seeing someone else. Not me. I swear to God, not me. But I saw her a few weeks ago downtown. She didn't see me. She was with some guy. Holding his arm. Smiling the way she used to. The same look she gave me when it all started. You're sure it wasn't a friend? I know what that look means, Evan said. She kissed him when she thought no one was watching. I sat there in silence. My throat felt tight. My head was spinning. You still love her, I said. Evan didn't answer. He didn't have to. I ended the call without another word. I sat in that parking lot for what felt like hours, watching the world move past me. Kids laughing. Grocery carts rattling. People living lives that weren't on fire. I thought about going home. About asking Emily straight to her face. About demanding a DNA test. About telling her I knew everything. But I didn't. Not yet. Because a small, part of me needed to see it. I needed more than Evan's word. I needed proof. Cold, cruel, undeniable proof. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I texted my cousin Darren. He's a private investigator. Mostly boring insurance stuff and corporate surveillance, but he's good. Quiet. Professional. No questions asked. I just sent one message. Need help. Discreet. Wife might be cheating. I need to know everything. His reply came within minutes. When can we talk? That night I drove home. Emily was sitting on the couch with a glass of wine and her laptop. Netflix open. Pretending like the world wasn't cracking beneath our feet. Hey, she said casually. You disappeared for a bit. Just needed air, I said. I kissed her cheek. She smiled, relaxed. And that's when I knew. She didn't suspect a thing. Whatever mask she was wearing. She'd worn it so long. It fit perfectly now. But me? I was done playing the fool. The next morning, Darren and I met for breakfast in a greasy spoon diner on the edge of town. He pulled out a notebook. "Just tell me everything," he said. "Where she works, her schedule, anything that feels off." I gave him everything, down to the way she always kept her phone face down, the late meetings, the new perfume, the sudden gym membership she never mentioned until I found the card in her purse. He nodded, wrote it all down. "Give me 2 weeks," he said. "You'll have your truth." 2 weeks. 14 days of pretending, smiling, lying, kissing a woman who might have already chosen someone else. And on the 13th day, just one day before I'd get my answers, something happened. Something I didn't expect. Something that changed everything. I came home from work early. Her car was in the driveway. Music was playing inside. And then I heard a voice. A man's voice. I froze in the hallway, heart pounding so loud I couldn't hear the music anymore. It was muffled now behind the bedroom door, but the voice wasn't. Deep, male, confident, laughing. I stepped closer, my feet moving on autopilot. Everything inside me screamed not to look, not to open that door. But I had to. I had to see it. I had to stop pretending. The door was cracked just an inch. Enough. I leaned forward, barely breathing. My bedroom, our bed. And there he was, shirt off, sitting on the edge of the bed like he owned the place, like he lived here. I couldn't see Emily, but I heard her voice. Closer, behind the open bathroom door. She was laughing too. I stepped back. 1 step, then 2. My hand clenched into a fist without thinking. But I didn't burst in. I didn't scream. I didn't make a scene. I pulled out my phone, took a photo, and walked out of my own house. I didn't even know where I was going until I ended up in the parking lot outside Darren's office. I texted him the photo. 2 minutes later he called me. "That guy," he said. "I've seen him before." "Who is he?" I asked. "His name's Brandon Keller. He works at the firm across from Emily's building. Divorce attorney. Been there about 6 months." "How long?" I asked. "How long has he been seeing her?" Darren hesitated. 2 weeks, maybe 3. I only caught them once, coffee shop by the park. They were being careful, real careful, like they'd done this before. My stomach dropped. "Done this before?" "Yeah," he said, like they'd rehearsed how not to get caught. I didn't answer, just stared at the traffic lights blinking red, then green, then red again like it meant anything. "You okay, man?" Darren asked. "No," I said, "but I'm gonna be." That night I didn't go home. I checked into a hotel under a fake name. Spent hours staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out when my life had started to go off the rails. It wasn't just Emily. It wasn't just Evan. It was me. I'd ignored the signs. I'd let loyalty blind me. I'd let guilt chain me to a woman who never stopped testing how far she could go before I'd walk away. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part came the next morning, when Darren sent me the full report. Times, photos, conversations, and something else, something I wasn't prepared for. A name, a familiar name. In one of Darren's photos, taken from a distance, Emily was sitting across the table from Brandon. They weren't touching, just talking. But Brandon wasn't alone. A woman sat beside him. Her face wasn't clear, but I knew that profile. I'd seen that smirk 1,000 times. My mother. My mother was in the same photo, at the same table. "You sure that's her?" I asked Darren. "Pretty sure. She arrived 15 minutes before Emily. Didn't stay long. Just long enough to shake Brandon's hand, say something and leave." "And Emily?" Looked rattled. Real rattled. I sank into the motel chair, the weight of it all crashing down. It wasn't just Emily betraying me. It was my mother, too. The woman who hated every girl I brought home. Who called my wife names behind her back. Who always said she was protecting me. But this wasn't protection. This was sabotage. This was control. This was manipulation on a level I never imagined. And suddenly it all made sense. The snide comments. The convenient information drops. The way she knew things Emily never told her. She wasn't just judging my marriage. She was interfering in it, fueling the fire, fanning the flames, maybe even introducing them. Maybe more than that. The thought hit me so hard I said it out loud, like hearing it would make it less insane. Did my mother set this up? Darren's silence said everything. I can look into it, he finally said. But if that's true, you're not dealing with just betrayal. You're dealing with premeditated destruction. My voice shook. She's been trying to get rid of Emily since day one. And maybe Darren said she finally did. That night, I went home. Not to talk. Not to fight. Just to listen. I walked in quietly. They were in the kitchen. Brandon was gone, but Emily was on the phone. She didn't hear me come in. She was whispering. He doesn't know anything, she said. No, he didn't say anything about the lake house. A pause. Yes, I burned the guest book. Another pause. You told me I just had to hold on a few more weeks, so when's it happening? When do I get the money? Then silence. She was listening to the voice on the other end. I stood there behind the corner, waiting, holding my breath, until she spoke again. And what she said next made my blood run cold. Okay, Mom. I trust you. Coming from our bedroom. I didn't breathe. I couldn't. My wife's voice echoing those words, okay, Mom. I trust you, rang like a gunshot through my skull. My body didn't move, but my mind ran a marathon. I stood just around the corner, listening, heart thrashing against my ribs. I'll keep playing nice, Emily continued. He suspects something, but I can handle it. We're still sleeping in the same bed, for God's sake. If he knew what we were doing, he'd be gone already. I wanted to scream. I wanted to step around the corner, grab the phone out of her hand, and demand answers. But something inside me whispered, don't. Not yet. Not until you know the full story. I backed away slowly, slipping out the front door like a thief in my own home. Back to the motel. Back to the same stiff mattress and flickering lamp and walls that didn't judge. I called Darren. You were right, I said. They're working together. You get it recorded? No, I whispered. But I heard it. She called her mom. Said she trusts her. Said she'd keep pretending. Pretending what? To love me. To stay married. To keep the money. There was a long silence on his end. Then, it's worse than I thought. Can you find out why? I asked. Why would my mother sabotage her own son's marriage? Why help the woman she's hated for years? Darren hesitated. There's something I didn't want to mention until I was sure. But I pulled financials. I found something weird. What kind of weird? Your mom set up a trust fund about 8 months ago. Put in just over $200,000. The beneficiary? Emily. My heart stopped. What? She used a third-party attorney to mask it. But it's real. The payout triggers if the marriage ends before your 5-year anniversary and only if you file the divorce. My hands were shaking. So if I file, she walks away with money? A nice chunk of it, yeah. But if she files, she gets nothing. It's airtight. Why would my mom do that? I don't know, man, Darren said. But your wife's playing the long game. Smiling in your face while waiting for the clock to run out. And your mother? She's helping her do it. I couldn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling and thought about every time my mother said, I'm protecting you. I thought about every time Emily smiled at me like I was her entire world. And I realized something sickening. Neither of them ever loved me the way they claimed. One wanted to control me. The other wanted to profit from me. The next morning, I went home. Walked in like I hadn't heard a thing. Kissed Emily on the forehead. Told her I was taking her to dinner. She smiled, surprised. Really? She asked. Just the two of us? Just us, I said. I made reservations at the same restaurant we went to the night I proposed. Candlelight. Wine. Perfect lighting for a mask. Halfway through the meal, I said, do you ever feel like you're not being honest with me? She blinked. What do you mean? Like there's something you've wanted to say, but couldn't? Her eyes darted. Ryan, is this about your mom? No, I lied. It's about us. She leaned forward, touched my hand. There's nothing I haven't told you. And she said it so convincingly I almost believed her again. Almost. I smiled. Good. We finished dinner. Drove home. Made love. And when she fell asleep beside me, I stared at the ceiling until morning. Because tomorrow was the day. Tomorrow, Darren would deliver the final piece. And then? I'd burn everything down. The folder was thicker than I expected. Darren dropped it on the motel table like a verdict. Photos. Emails. Bank records. My mother and my wife had been connected for years. Not just secret calls. Not just the trust fund. Real coordination. Meetings. Money. Silence for hire. Emily had debts before we married, ones I didn't know about. My mother paid them off. In exchange, Emily agreed to keep me stable. Not happy. Not loved. Controlled. She wanted to make sure you married the woman she picked, Darren said. Only Emily played her too. I stared at the documents. The truth was radioactive. What now? Darren asked. I didn't answer. I just smiled. That night I set the stage. Emily came home to candles, wine, her favorite music. I said I wanted to celebrate us. 5 years almost. We made it, I told her. She smiled radiant. A performance to the very end. I poured her wine. She toasted to forever. I clinked glasses. To freedom. Then I pulled out the folder. Watched the color drain from her face. She didn't speak. Just flipped pages. Eyes wide. Mouth open. I know everything, I said quietly. The lies. The trust fund. My mother. Her hands trembled. Ryan. I save it. I stood. You manipulated me. Used me. And you thought I'd never figure it out. I walked toward the door, then turned. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. You'll lose everything, she whispered. I smiled. No. You will. Then I left. Drove to my mother's. Dropped a copy of the file on her porch. No note. No words. She called 3 times that night. I didn't answer. That was 2 weeks ago. Today, the divorce is in motion. The trust fund? Voided. Turns out collusion and fraud don't play well in court. Emily moved out. My mother hasn't spoken to me since. And me? I'm not broken. Not bitter. Just done. Done being managed. Done being manipulated. Done mistaking loyalty for love. People say blood is thicker than water. But sometimes it's poison. And I finally stopped drinking.